So you've been looking to move to either St. Augustine or Jacksonville, and you can't quite make the decision. They're bordering counties, Jacksonville being Duvall County, St. Augustine being St. Johns County. They're very close. They offer a very similar lifestyle, but there are some key differences that I think you need to know if you're considering both of them, and that's what we're going to do in today's video. What's up, everyone? My name's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, Florida, and if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest here in northeastern Florida, make sure you reach out to me and my team. All we try to do is give you the information so that you can make an educated decision what you already want to do, which is buy, sell, or invest here in northeastern Florida. So my main goal with this video is to give you a direct comparison between Jacksonville and St. Augustine, and we're going to cover a whole bunch of different topics, but some of the main key points that you may want to know about are going to be like property taxes, the cost of living, your lifestyle here in the area, what the schools are like. That's just a little bit of what we're going to cover here in this video. So if you are looking for more information like that, make sure you subscribe to the video. If you have any questions about certain neighborhoods, certain things in terms of taxes in certain neighborhoods that we're going to talk about, it's all going to change depending on the county, depending on the neighborhood. So throw them in the comments below if you do have any questions while you're watching this video. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is going to be the lifestyle and the community of both St. Johns County and Duvall County. So Duvall County is where Jacksonville is, and St. Johns County is where the city of St. Augustine, and both of those cities take up the majority of the county. And at the same time, we're also bordering each other. So St. Johns County is just south of Duvall County, where the city of Jacksonville is located. So in reality, you still have access to both, right? The lifestyle and the community of both St. Augustine and Jacksonville living in the area. I mean, depending where you are living, of course, Jacksonville is a huge place, largest city by landmass in the continental United States. So it could take you an hour or so to get somewhere in St. Augustine if you needed to, and it could also take you about an hour or so to get somewhere in Duvall County if you needed to as well. So you still have the lifestyle afforded in both areas, and we're in northeastern Florida, so the weather, the climate, it's all going to be relatively the same for both areas. But one of the key differences of St. Augustine and Jacksonville is really the speed of like the downtown area and the metropolitan area in Jacksonville. So here in St. Augustine, it is the nation's oldest city. It's been here since 1565, so we really have a beautiful downtown area that is, you know, a major tourist attraction for the state of Florida, also for St. Johns County as well. We see tons of millions of people. I think there's 8 million people that visit St. Augustine every single year, and that's primarily for the beaches here and the downtown. So you also have the nation's oldest fort, Castillo de San Marcos, which is in the heart of downtown. You have Spanish architecture, you have French architecture, you have homes that date back to the 1500s here in the area, which really adds to that quaint, small downtown of historic St. Augustine. One of the great things that I personally love about St. Augustine, I live, a mile from downtown St. Augustine at this point, is it still has that small town feel, though a lot of locals will argue with me and say that that is changing, and in agreement, it is changing, but I still personally feel that it still has that small town vibe. You go out, you go downtown, you might run into a couple friends that you know. It's very a tight-knit community with a lot of locals that have been here for a long time. You're bound to run into someone, especially if you've been living here for a significant amount of time. Some of the key highlights of living here in St. Augustine are going to be our amphitheater. Our amphitheater here, St. Augustine Amphitheater, sells more tickets than Red Rocks, which is probably pretty surprising to you, but we're also allowed to be open year round. We don't have to worry about the snow and the freezing cold here, so we do have a little bit of an advantage there. It's a beautiful amphitheater, seats about 4,000 people. We saw a couple of bands there last year, Young the Giant and Milky Chance, which are, they're a little bit lesser known in the mainstream media, but still put on a great show. I think they have Willie Nelson coming up here in the next couple months. They have a ton of great acts within the St. Augustine Amphitheater. But we also have St. Johns County beaches. We have I think it's 42 miles of beaches, and some of them are a lot more paced than some of the beaches in St. Augustine Beach and in Jacksonville. You just have a lot more people in the area, so you're a little bit closer, which is not exactly the ideal situation if you're looking to hang out on the beach and kind of relax. Now, if you're comparing St. Augustine to Jacksonville, I like to talk about it in terms of a car, right? We've all driven a car before. There's not many manuals out on the road these days, but I would say St. Augustine is kind of like a third gear, right? So if you have 5 gears, St. Augustine's going to be a third gear. If you're looking at maybe like a Flagler Beach, that's probably going to be a first or second gear. And I would say Duvall County, Jacksonville, that's going to be more like a fourth or a fifth gear. It's moving more towards a fifth gear as the city of Jacksonville starts to grow, but it is a growing metropolitan area. So in the city of Jacksonville, you're going to see a little bit more of a nightlife. Here, we don't really have any clubs in St. Augustine, anything like that, but in Jacksonville, you're going to have a lot more of a nightlife to go out to downtown, maybe go to a nice restaurant, maybe go to the Jack's Beaches, go to a club or something like that. You're going to have more entertainment aspect in terms of the nightlife down there. They also have the professional sports teams within the city of Jacksonville. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, though, they are not good at all, haven't been good for a long time. But that we're all hopeful that is going to change. They have those. They also have the Jacksonville, they used to be called the Jacksonville Suns, but now they're the Jacksonville Shrimp, which is, more of a play on what one of the major fishing industries here does, which is shrimping. And then there is also talk of opening a Major League Soccer team. I think they just opened up a women's league this past year, but it's actually going to be in St. Johns County, but it's going to be very north in St. Johns County, so it's still very accessible to the people living in Duvall County. Now, you won't get that same small town feel as you do in St. Augustine that you will have in Jacksonville. Like I said earlier, it is the largest city by landmass in the United States. It's humongous. So you can drive from literally the south of Jacksonville to the north of Jacksonville on 95. It's going to take you about 40 minutes with no traffic at all. It's pretty crazy how big this place is. So with that, you're going to have pockets of suburban neighborhoods, you're going to have pockets of urban neighborhoods, and a mix of everything in between because of how big this city is. But this is going to be more ideal for someone that is like looking for that hustle and bustle, where St. Augustine, yes, in my opinion, there's always something to do in St. Augustine on any given day, even if it's the middle of the week. But Jacksonville, you can pretty much like 2x or 3x that, depending on what you're looking to do, whether it's a concert or a comedian doing stand-up, whether it's a football game, whether it's a festival. They always have something going on in Jacksonville and in St. Augustine, but Jacksonville just a little more so. Now, this is really important for families, but it's important for everyone to know as well, because a lot of the driving factor of real estate prices has to do, especially in your local area, with how good your schools are, because at the end of the day, we're all part of some type of family, right? But if you have better schools in the area, you tend to see a higher real estate price, which is going to reflect here within Duvall County and St. Johns County. So just talk about St. Johns County and the city of St. Augustine. Our schools here have been really, really good for a number of years. We were consistently ranked the #1 school district for public schools within the entire state of Florida. So that was something that St. Augustine could really, hang its hat on, because it was an amazing attractor to come live here in St. Johns County. You can live in the suburban area in the northern part of St. Johns County, still work in Duvall County, but benefit from the schools here, which was a big plus to people looking to move to the area. And especially if you have a growing family, you want to make sure that they're getting a great education. And that's something here in St. Johns County. Pretty much all of our schools are rated A schools. And if you don't know, if you're watching this from out of the state of Florida, everything is ranked on a grade basis. So some sites use a numeric basis where it's say like, hey, if it's an A school, it's a 9 or a 10. Here in Florida, everything is ranked between A, B, C, D, and F. So that's how you're going to tell if it's a good school or a bad school. And we also have all that stuff from the Department of Education. So if you are looking for that information, just reach out. I can shoot it over to you in an email. Now, like I said before, every neighborhood is going to be a little bit different. It really depends what attendance zone you're in for what school and what those school ratings are. So whether you're looking at elementary, middle, and high school, all of those are going to be different and graded differently depending on your geographic area. So I'm just going to talk about the school district in general. So we're looking at St. Johns County School District, we're looking at Duvall County School District, and I want to look at a couple key statistics so that you can really figure out which one's best for you. Now, as I go through this, the one thing I do want to mention about Duvall County is that it is growing, right? And the school system is doing better than it has in the past, but it's not as good if you're looking at the statistics of St. Johns County, right? It's night and day different. But if you are looking to stay within Duvall County, the city of Jacksonville, there are still a whole bunch of great schools within that area. You just need to know which ones to go to, and I'm able to provide all of that information if you need it. So if we're looking at Duvall County and we're comparing it to St. Johns County, we're just going to take a look at the school districts and see how they were graded by the state of Florida and the Department of Education. So when we take a look at Duvall County, it looks like that we have 98% of the students were tested, right? and that came out to about a B average for the entire county of Duvall County, which is great, right? I mean, that's not the best in the world, right? But it's not the worst in the world either. And if you go back as far as 10 years ago, you can see that Duvall County was consistently a C grade level. So they have definitely made some improvements in graduation rate, and they definitely made improvements in terms of their testing scores. Now on the verse side, if you're looking at St. Johns County and the schools within St. Augustine, you're going to see that 99% of the students were tested, and the past year we've got an A rating. And then if you look at the past 10 years, whatever they have on this sheet here, I think it goes back to 2012 or 2011, we've been an A-rated school district since then. So they've had a history of excellence of the students here in St. Johns County comparatively to Duvall County. Now, like I said before, if you are looking within a certain area, there are schools that are A-rated within Duvall County. You just need to be within that specific attendance zone. And that's the same thing with St. Johns County as well on the negative side. There are certain areas where we don't have A-rated schools. We have C-rated schools. We have B-rated schools. So your attendance zone is really going to be the driver of where your kids go to school. The one thing to mention with all of this is that both areas are growing pretty consistently as they have the past couple years, but they're continuing to grow. Just St. Johns County is low. Our population is expected to double by 2050. Right now around 330,000 people. They're expected to go to 660,000 people by 2050. So the school attendance zones amongst Duvall County and St. Johns County are constantly changing year over year. Now the next and probably one of the most important points that we're going to cover is going to be the cost of real estate within the area, right? If you're coming here, you're watching this channel looking to buy a house within Jacksonville or St. Augustine, this is something that's really important because if you're only making a certain amount of money, maybe you're working remote or you have a new job here in the area, you can only afford a certain amount of house. So this is really going to drive what area you're looking to move into. With that being said, this is probably the one area where St. Johns County is going to lose out to Duvall County, at least in my personal opinion. I live in St. Augustine. I'm probably a little bit biased, right? I enjoy living in St. Johns County versus Duvall County. It's perfect for me. It's my speed, right? Whereas maybe it's not for you and you want to be in Duvall County. That's okay. And one of the benefits of being in Duvall County in the city of Jacksonville is going to be the housing cost. The median sale price within Duvall County, now we're talking about single family homes, townhomes, condos, across all of those, is going to be $311,000. And that's pretty amazing when considering the median sale price across the entire United States is $400,000. So Jacksonville, the city of Duvall County, is still extremely affordable, $100,000 less when you're looking at the national picture. Now, when you compare that to St. Johns County, you're going to see that it's even more affordable than St. Johns County because the median sale price within St. Johns County is $484,000, which is obviously $84,000 more expensive than the median average in the United States. Now, the median sale price is essentially saying like, hey, this is the middle of all pricing. So 50% below is cheaper, 50% above is more expensive. So in both areas, you're going to have factors that are driving that number higher and driving that number lower, such as in St. Johns County, we have the downtown historic area, we have St. Augustine Beach, where the housing inventory has pretty much been all built up. So it's really tough to be able to, say like this is the median when the average sale price in a lot of these areas is going to be north of $700,000, $800,000. So it's not really reflective of the rest of St. Johns County because of those higher price points there. The same thing with Duvall County. You also have areas that are much, much cheaper where you can find homes for $150,000, $200,000 in abundance, right? So that's going to drag that number down. Not saying that Duvall County doesn't have its fair share of very expensive areas. I mean, if you're looking at like Avondale, you're looking at like Jax Beach, Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, all of those areas are going to tend to be more expensive than the median sale price where you see $1 million+ homes all throughout that area. But all of this is really subjective to what is important to you as a buyer in your local neighborhood. And if you're looking for a good deal in either one, I think you can find it in today's market. If you're looking at the graph that I showed about the median sale price, you can see that both markets have kind of flattened out. We're not going down, we're not going up in a tremendous fashion, but we've kind of gotten a steady point, which we really, really needed, especially since the pandemic, where you can see in the early 2020, 2021, we had a rocket ship of incline of pricing because of the mass relocation to our area, because of record low interest rates. And then once interest rates started to go up a bit, we started to see our markets kind of flatten out, which is a good thing, in my opinion. Our old market was not a fun place to be in for any buyers out there. Sellers, it was fun because you could raise your hand and say, hey, I'm going to sell my house, and you had 20 people in line. For a buyer, it really sucked because you had to be one of those 20 people in line. And at the same time, if you're selling, you're typically buying, so it sucked for them on the opposite end. So we needed this adjustment. We needed to come back more to a balanced market where prices weren't going up percentage points every single month, right? Year over year, if we're looking at Duvall County, the median sale price has actually gone down 1.2%. Nothing crazy. It went from 315 to 311. Once again, this could be just an adjustment of prices on the higher end or the lower end, really dragging it down or dragging it up. And then if you're looking at St. Johns County, it's only gone up 1% year over year. Went from $480,000 in November of last year to $484,000 and some change in November of this year. So in my opinion, if you're just looking based on median sale price and you're looking at it based on interest rate, the interest rate was a gut check, where right now we're hovering around, I think, 6-7%. We got up as high as 8% at one point last year, and our market remained very stable, right? So in my opinion, that shows strength, that our market is doing well, and if interest rates start to go down, then we'll probably see prices start to appreciate a little bit more. Nothing crazy like we saw in 2020 and 2021. Now, we touched on it slightly, but I wanted to talk about the job market and the opportunities available within Duvall County and St. Johns County. This is another area where I think Duvall County is going to win out. It's a much larger metropolitan area than St. Augustine, and there's a lot more job opportunities, a whole bunch of different industries within Duvall County versus St. Augustine. When I was a kid, if you wanted the good paying jobs, you drove up to Jacksonville, and I don't think that's really changed in today's world either. The one good thing that you will see, and this does reflect in pricing, in the northern part of St. Johns County, you see a higher price for a single family home than you will see in pretty much the majority of St. Johns County, because you're right on the border of the Duvall County line, which is the city of Jacksonville. So it makes it a really easy commute to go in the city if you do need to. So when we're talking about kind of the negatives of St. Augustine, I'd say this is probably one of the biggest one, is the major employer in St. Augustine is going to be the government, right? So we're talking about the school district. We're talking about the services, where you're going to the Department of Transportation, or if you're going, to the courthouse, you're going to the property appraiser. The government jobs is what is the main driver of employment here in St. Johns County. And then we also have the service industry, the hospitality industry. Now, this is kind of really hard to get a number on, but they're all small businesses that run and probably employ 20 to 30 people. They aren't these massive things. But that is going to be the main employer, really, in general. We're talking about how many people are employed, is going to be the hospitality industry, because we do have a big tourism factor here in St. Augustine. Whereas Jacksonville, it also has a tourism factor as well, but it also has a lot more opportunities in terms of different industries to work at. So if you're looking at St. Augustine, unless you're looking at a public government job, you're looking at the hospitality industry, or if you're looking at like the healthcare industry, there's really not much here outside of those opportunities. If you're looking at Duvall County, you still have the tourism and the hospitality industry there, but you do also have a much larger healthcare industry there with Mayo Clinic and other hospitals that do really well out there. UF is now moving into downtown Jacksonville, which is pretty exciting, in the La Villa neighborhood. They just announced that a couple weeks ago. But you do also have the naval base as well. There's 2 naval bases within Duvall County, the city of Jacksonville, which makes it very easy to find good employment in that area if you're in the military, of course. Aside from that, Jacksonville also has a large finance hub, a large logistics hub. They just dredged a whole bunch of canals there so that they can now import these large Chinese container ships right into Jacksonville. Now, they couldn't do it before because they didn't have the canal and the space for these larger ships to make it into port. So everything had to go through Miami. So that's starting to change a little bit, and we're starting to see more logistics jobs within the city of Jacksonville. So I think that's one big thing to note, is that if you do have to commute for work and you're looking to live in St. Johns County and you want to work in Jacksonville for the higher paying job, you're going to have to factor in that commute into your decision of where you want to live, because depending where you are in St. Johns County, it could take you 30 minutes, it could take you 45 minutes, it could take you an hour, depending where you are. And here in this area, if you're coming from a metropolitan area, an hour is actually a good commute. Here in this area, if anything's over like 20 to 30 minutes, most people are like, that is a terrible commute. And so that's just something you need to factor in your decision making. Now that we talked about jobs and we talked about the cost of housing, I do also want to talk about the taxes, right? Property taxes are very important, and it's going to factor into your monthly payment if you're getting a loan, and it's also going to factor into your annual costs if you're just buying cash. But your property taxes are going to be a little bit more expensive depending on where you live, right? And there's a couple different tax districts in Duvall County. There's a whole bunch of different tax districts in St. Johns County. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the most expensive one from both, and I'm going to compare based on median sale price. So as you can see, I'm on the Duvall County Property Appraiser, where you can estimate taxes. It has a simple calculator in there where you can pull the tax district, you can put in the estimated cost of the house, and then it'll generate a number for you. So if we're looking at this sheet here, we have Jacksonville Beach, which is going to be the millage rate of 18.5690. So if you have a taxable value of $400,000, your estimated taxes are going to come out around $7,427.60. Now, if we're looking at St. Johns County, there is another neighborhood that is more expensive called Summerhaven, but that's such a small pocket. I don't really feel like it's accurate to give you the highest price in terms of taxes, because most people aren't going to gravitate towards that little neighborhood. So what I wanted to do is take a look at the city of St. Augustine. We are talking about living in St. Augustine here. So the city of St. Augustine, the city of St. Augustine Beach, and Summerhaven are going to be the highest millage rate in terms of your taxes, which essentially is just like a percentage of what you're going to calculate. So we have a $400,000 price point. I didn't add the homestead exemption, and the millage rate is 18.72. So that all comes out to about $7,488 for a $400,000 home. So when you're comparing both of them, it's going to be a little bit more expensive if you're just looking at the highest taxable value here in St. Johns County. Now, if you talk about the lowest taxable value, I live in St. Johns County. So my taxes are actually 12.6, right? So if I were to take that same number in St. Johns County, do $400,000. So if we're basing it off a $400,000 home, no homestead exemption with the 12.6013 tax base for St. Johns County, we're going to see that the estimated taxes come out to $5,040.52. So it can actually be considerably cheaper based on property taxes here in St. Johns County than it can in Duvall County. Now, if you have any questions about property taxes, the schools available, the jobs here, go ahead and throw me a comment below. But I wanted to summarize, essentially, put everything into a box of what we just covered here, because we covered a ton. So if you're looking at the city of St. Augustine, the main differences are going to be the historic charm of downtown, having that small town feel. We're also going to have excellent public schools here in the area, pretty much across the entire board. And we're also going to have a quieter lifestyle. So if you're not looking for that hustle and bustle of a metropolitan area, which Jacksonville is going to grow more and more in that direction, I believe, then St. Augustine is probably the right place for you. But if you're looking at Jacksonville and you're considering that, the main drivers are probably going to be the affordability of housing in the area. It's going to be the job market opportunities that are there, and also a more urban lifestyle. So if you like living in a city, if you like having that hustle and bustle, Jacksonville is probably going to be the area for you. Now, everything we covered here is going to be subjective. It's really individual. What's most important to you? So what I would do is list out all of your priorities and what you need to happen in this move, and see which area is going to be best for you. Now, of course, if you have any questions, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Northeastern Florida, all you got to do is reach out to me and my team. All we're going to do is just give you the information so that you can make an educated decision on what you want to do, which is buy, sell, or invest in Jacksonville or the city of St. Augustine. Until next time, guys, have a good one.